Okay, we're now recording our weekly team meeting as usual, and today we have the package agenda. Just opening that up. The first item on the list is John.
Thank you, Tim. So I would like to officially welcome Nick Kipling as our first front-end engineer. Nick, welcome. We introduced you last week, Nick, but you weren't here, so this is kind of the official announcement. And I borrowed the little snippet from the front-end department call to ask Nick to please introduce himself. Tell us a little bit about your front-end engineering background, your favorite framework, and your favorite IDE.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Nick. I'm joining the front-end team for Package, so I'm really excited about that. Previously, I worked for a company here in the UK, just up the road in Derby, called Common Time, where I worked as a mobile developer, and we used Cordova to build our mobile apps, and we had a product that sat on top of Cordova. So to begin with, when I first started there, it was very much using the product, but it very quickly moved away from that, and we moved to using stock Cordova with a custom framework over the top of it, which is built in sort of JavaScript and based off of web components, which I essentially basically built, and then the rest of the developers here used that. So we would build mobile apps for lots of different customers, and there was quite a it wasn't just front end, it was a full stack position basically, so there was back end work as well. So I do have a bit of experience with that, although not with Rails specifically. And yeah, so I did that for 4.5 years with Common Time, and that was fun. That was interesting. I felt that towards the end, I wasn't really learning too much or progressing, and I wasn't really being challenged that much. So that's why I've decided to join GitLab to hopefully become a better developer. And yeah, like the overwhelming amount of information that I've had to take in over the last week and a half is, yeah, there's a lot to learn. So it'll be a while before I'm in the same position here, that's for sure. In terms of like favorite framework, I guess it's probably React, just because that's the one that I have the most experience with. But I like any sort of declarative front-end driven framework. So Vue will be absolutely fine as well, and I've been sort of picking that up over the last month or so, just trying to get to grips with that. And yeah, it feels fine. It feels as nice as React does. And then for IDE, I'm pretty basic, so I'm just using VS Code, and yeah, I'll probably stick with that for the future.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. On behalf of everyone on Package, we're very excited that you're here. And so thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. Next item was mine. I just wanted to see, with kicking off 12.1, if there were any open questions or issues or anything that is worth talking about during this meeting. So we're looking at, for this team, the publishing NPM from a subgroup, the changing the container registry to a column in that information and adding a timestamp. I'm updating the 500 error page for the container registry, and updating an API response code. Everything seems straightforward. No questions. Cool. I like that. So the next one is, I opened up this issue, and it's linked there in the doc, to talk about the maturity path for the container registry. It feels like we're at a little bit of a crossroads. I started going through issues and thinking about how can we add in sorting to the container registry page. And I see that we're blocked because we're not currently storing data for any of the items from the registry. And then when I start to think about more advanced features that are coming, like expiration and retention policies and auditing and security test scanning, all of those things require that we store data, that we can access it and do something with it and provide some user experience for it. So I opened up this issue that is a summary of the discussions that have been had before most of our time here at GitLab, between Camille and Gregor and Dimitri, and aggregated in one place in that issue. And the idea is to answer the question, is our current implementation of the container registry, will it scale to the future features that we want for it? If so, what do we have to do to achieve that? And if not, what does that mean? Does that mean that we build our own? Does that mean that we integrate with some other enterprise tool like Go Harbor, something like that. So we're starting that conversation, and Daniel, I believe you're starting to interview the individual contributors like Dimitri and Camille about this as well.
Yeah, I think I had a bit of a chat with Darby about it yesterday, and probably the best approach we have is just to sort of have a bit more detailed technical conversations with those people to sort of at least add a little bit more information around what those different paths are, so that we can actually sort of have that discussion in the issue that we created. I don't think any of us right now have the ability to make that call. So, whenever we get to make that call, it'll probably be one of us that makes a decision around which direction we want to go there. But, I don't think we have enough information right now. So I'm going to follow up today with those three people and try and organize a chat with them this week about the container registry, where it's at, and their thoughts on moving forward. I certainly don't right now feel like I have enough information to make a good decision. My gut is that we probably want to write it ourselves, just because I think, to borrow something you mentioned, Tim, that you'd heard in your conversations was, if we really care about this as being like a really important part of what our team does, then we probably want to build it ourselves. And I have that same sort of sense, but I don't want to make that call without having a better understanding of the technical considerations and trade-offs. So I'm going to organize that today, or to the best of my ability, organize some chats with those people. So that's kind of my sense of path forward. Does anyone have any questions or suggestions for me on that?
That makes sense to me. And from the product perspective, I'm trying to make a push for user interviews, both with internal customers and external customers, to hear about how they're using the container registry today, what's not working, what they see a mature container registry product looking like. So I'm going to throw together questions. I'll share them in the package channel, and I'd love to get feedback from all of you. I would love to get all of your opinion on those questions, and add as developers and users of the product what you think would be valuable to know from users as we consider building this out in the future as well. So that'll be something from a product perspective. I'm working on user interviews, as well as what are the features that we will need to build and support in the future, and what do those features look like, and ensuring that those issues are groomed and prepared for everyone to read through.
Cool. Thanks, Tim.
No problem. And the last one is a small one, but I thought, we should also welcome Sarah to the call, who is our dedicated. Sarah, what is it? What is the role, the official role for your tie to our stage?
You caught me in the middle of pulling up the sheet that says it supports stable counterparts.
Support stable counterparts. So the idea is that we won't always have you to support package features, but preferentially issues will be routed through you for support and triage and things like that. Okay, it's very cool.
Sorry to interrupt, Tim. I just wanted to call out that Sarah's been working really hard on getting sort of pipelines working for our NPM package registry. And that work is awesome and very much appreciated. Thank you so much for doing that, Sarah. I did see that she got a couple of responses to the merge request in the last overnight, I think. So I don't know if you need some help, Sarah, but if you want to reach out to myself or Tim, we'll do the best we can to help work through those if you need any help with it. But definitely want to support you in that effort, because it's quite valuable and we really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. I'd love some help with it. I'll reach out. It's the suggestions I think are very important and good feedback, and but small enough to be done rather quickly, or quick turnaround. So thank you.
That's awesome. So when you joined the team, it did get me to start thinking that it would be great if we had a knowledge base for the package team, for a way to respond to commonly encountered issues, a way to improve our documentation and refine it. So I just started this Google Doc not knowing of a better place to put it, to start capturing what issues, how we resolved it, if there's any way to reproduce it, and then detailing any resolutions. And I've found this helpful. I've been able to go back and forth with some engineers or some users saying, how do I delete items from my registry? And I already have the pre-canned response. I have some user-generated scripts that I could share as well. So more of an FYI, but if you think, if you're talking to a user or you're documenting something, add it here, and we can consider it sort of bundling these things together in future documentation, examples, and how-to guides and stuff like that. Any questions or concerns about that? John or Darby, have you seen other teams implement something like this better, or is there a better process that we should be following other than Google Doc?
I have not seen anything else like this. I think this is great. I guess I think what we do on release right now is probably more tribal knowledge-ish than documented. So this might be a good pattern to follow. I guess I think like ultimately maybe something in the handbook or something that is like versionable is probably a good idea, but as a first iteration, I think this is great. So
okay, cool.
I would agree. I think this is great, Tim.
Thank
awesome.
you. Okay, cool. All right, that's all I had. I don't see anything else on the agenda, but anyone else have anything else they want to bring up to the team? Okay, in that case, I'm going to stop